Welcome to the Golden Llama Show, where enlightenment is just a podcast away and where spirituality meets laughter. I'm your host, Andy, and today I have an amazing guest, Brandon Ramakko. Could you introduce yourself to the audience and state your credentials?
Sure. Again, my name's Brandon Ramakko. I'm originally from Canada, but I was a physics teacher at college. I had a great job, but I was getting some health troubles, and I wasn't really getting solutions in the Canadian healthcare system. And people I also knew were having a hard time. So I gave up that Canadian life, and I went into healthcare. And I actually have a doctorate in chiropractic, but from a very science-focused, evidence-based university. And I basically would consider that training equivalent to the medical program because chiropractors in that state are primary healthcare practitioners. So I learned minor surgery and all that stuff because I wanted to take care of myself. I just wanted to just go back to teaching. And then even after that, though, I felt like my education journey wasn't done. That wasn't enough. And so I was board certified in neuromusculoskeletal medicine with additional training. And that really opened my eyes that there's all this research, all these findings that haven't trickled into the medical education system. And even though, like, they know it, the researchers who are experts in this know the healthcare system isn't working quite well, and this information needs to get out there, but it takes time to get there because doctors learn what they learned in medical school and they practice it for 40 years, and new information doesn't necessarily make its way to them. So I've just been continuing my educational journey, learning more about healthcare, and I recently wrote a book, Pain is Not a Life Sentence. Sort of sharing some of these research findings about how to manage chronic musculoskeletal pain, manage and resolve chronic musculoskeletal pain, because reading the book, you might know a lot more about how to solve musculoskeletal pain than medical doctors. I'm now in Indonesia, just working on a musculoskeletal ultrasound course because I'm also trained in sonography. And I'm looking forward to what the future has in store for me.
I hope it only has good things for you, brother. It seems that you've struggled a lot with pain. Where was it located? What's your attitude towards pain, and how do you define health?
So for myself, I had sort of joint pain everywhere. And in my 20s, I went to the doctor, they took x-rays. Yeah, you have joint inflammation in all your joints. There's joint effusion. There's fluid in all your joints. Here's some sample packets of Advil. Just take that the rest of your life. Good luck with that. And as a side note, chronic Advil use is lethal. They really shouldn't have told me that. It kills, over 16,000 people a year in the States is chronic Advil use. So not overdose, but just chronic use. So just all my joints were swollen. All my joints were swollen. I also was in a car accident and my knee would lock up. So I couldn't do stairs. I was doing gymnastics at the time and I couldn't even do stairs. And I went to the doctor. The doctor looked at me and was like, yeah, is there an elevator? Yeah, there's an elevator at my job. Oh, then you don't need to do stairs. Why are you even here? Get out of here.
That's crazy. Did they tell you how it all started?
Well, they never figured out why my hands were swollen and why my feet were swollen, why I had so much pain there. And I did end up paying for a private MRI to figure out I had a meniscus tear in my knee. But that wasn't really what I was contributing to, but wasn't sort of the root cause of the locking up. Now I don't have any joint pain. I completely forget about it. I even had it. My knee, I have no trouble with it. I can run up and down stairs. It doesn't click, doesn't lock. So basically all of my musculoskeletal problems are gone. Oh, well, also every month or two, my neck would lock up. It'd be like this. That's also gone. So I don't have any of that stuff anymore.
For how long did it hinder you And how did you fix it? Because I think I find it very intriguing that doctors gave you absolutely no change, gave you some pills, and go deal it with on your own. How did you do it?
So the thing is, for everyone, it might be different. So I'm continuing my own education. I'm doing a functional medicine course. And functional medicine is really looking into every enzyme, every cofactor, every possible genetic variation, every possible source, 2 or 3 steps ahead of your problem, 2 or 3 steps after your problem, to try to find a solution. And it's criticized because it can be very expensive and it can take a long time. It can take 6 months, a year for the doctor to finally figure out what's wrong with you,
Mm,
because it could be so many different things. So my story isn't necessarily going to work for everybody, because everyone can be different. Now, the full body, all the joints inflamed, it turns out that I'm sensitive to potatoes and tomatoes. So I was experimenting with diet. I would cut things out of my diet, add things back, cut things out of my diet, add things back. And it turns out tomatoes and potatoes, I'm sensitive to. So if I eat some potatoes tomorrow, my hands will hurt. Most
no
people
way.
most people can eat potatoes and tomatoes just fine. And tomatoes are great for you. A lot of antioxidants in tomatoes. So I don't want to say, okay, I've hands that hurt, I gotta stay away from tomatoes. That's what Dr. Ramakko said. No, for me, I need to stay away from tomatoes and potatoes. The nightshade family of vegetables and plants. So that fixed that. For my knee, it was a muscular imbalance. The quadriceps, quads for four. So there's some muscles on the inside of the leg, some muscles on the outside of the leg that make up the quads. And they weren't pulling at the same time and equally. In fact, one of them was quite atrophied and weakened from lack of use. And they all attach to the kneecap. So it's pulling the
Mm,
kneecap crooked. And so I did some exercises to sort of retrain my body to use the muscles equally. And my knees stopped clicking, stopped locking, and then stopped bothering me. I don't even think about it anymore. And the neck. Oh, sorry. You can talk.
You had different causes for the same symptom.
Yes. Like knee locking up versus neck locking up.
Mm,
Similar causes, but in terms of the joint pain, different causes. One was systemic, which had to do with the food I was ingesting, and the other was musculoskeletal and sort of nerve muscle control. And that's the thing. If you have full body pain, it's more likely to be something that's systemic, more likely to be
mm,
nutritional or genetic issue. Um, Although that being said, I've encountered a few people where their shoulder pain, both shoulders, hand pain, both hands, and it was just musculoskeletal pain just on both sides.
mm,
So even then, you don't know. You basically have to be a diagnosis expert. So even my book, which is like 300 pages, it doesn't have all the answers because I didn't get into the systemic stuff about nutrition or possible nutrition causes of systemic
mm,
pain. I didn't get into cancer. I didn't get into your bowel disease, chronic inflammatory diseases. I didn't get into any of that stuff. I just focus on musculoskeletal because it takes
mm,
300 pages to just cover some of the sources and some of the solutions. Because even that can be quite varied. For my neck, I really had to focus on neuromuscular control. Do you know we have, I think it's 6 or 7 times more nerve endings controlling our neck than nerve endings per gram of muscle controlling our neck than for our hands. And you imagine how dexterous our hands, how much control. You
mm,
imagine these would be the focus of our brain would be in controlling our fingers. But 6, 7 times more for the neck. And if you think about it, we have about eight to 10 muscles per segment, and we have 7 segments. We have like 70 muscles to coordinate in um, in coordinating a simple neck motion. And it's very easy for the brain. You hurt your neck, you
mm,
don't move for a few days,
mm,
maybe a week. already your brain starts to forget a little bit of how to control those muscles. Think about if you take a week off of work and you go, okay, what was I doing? How do I do that again? So the brain forgets some of the tiny details, and that can cause the joints to buckle when it messes up. And then the brain freaks out. Oh, something dangerous just happened. I didn't mean to do that. Sometimes there's no damage. It's just, oh, it's like a 9 out of 10 pain, a 10 out of 10 pain. Like sometimes it happens so bad. Like call an ambulance, carry me in a stretcher to the hospital, bad. And anyone who's had that type of neck pain knows, and it feels bad. But often there's little to no damage to the neck, even though it feels so bad. Even though you might get diagnosed with disc herniations and things like that, often, particularly if this is the chronic case, it's just a buckling and then the brain freaking out, being like, I'm never going to let you move the neck again. And these people have chronically tight neck muscles because it's like, don't move, don't move, don't move. Last time I let you move, you hurt yourself. And it just gets worse and worse because the lack of motion means the control gets worse and worse and worse. So the only solution is to relearn how to move the neck as if you're a toddler. You know, I just practiced ever so slowly, moving my neck, sometimes putting a laser pointer on my head and just trying to trace shapes on the wall. And when I started, it was really shaky. The laser pointer went all over the place, and my neck wasn't listening to what I was saying. I would try to do, let's say, a straight diagonal. It would be a curve or a curve the other way. It's like, why won't my neck listen to me? And it took a day after day of practice. And then once I relearned it, my neck problems went away and my neck muscles relaxed. And I still have to do neck exercises here or there just to make sure it doesn't come back. But no, it's great. And I want to share that with as many people as I could.
So the root cause is basically our brain forgetting stuff?
Yes, for a lot of neuromusculoskeletal pain, the root cause is the brain forgetting stuff. The brain forgetting how to control stuff, and the brain being scared of injuring itself or scared of injury, which can actually increase the sensitivity of pain receptors. The brain can actually recruit motion receptors to report as pain. So if last time you hurt your elbow, now your brain, if it thinks you're going to hurt your elbow again, it can make moving your elbow painful, even if there's nothing wrong. Because it's to protect you.
The brain doesn't trust us?
Yes.
Crazy.
So some people think pain is like damage equals pain. And no, like damage, yes, if there's inflammation, there's chemical receptors, then that information goes to the brain and then the brain processes it. And the part of the brain which creates pain, it's of course in the emotion part of the brain. Pain is an emotion. And it also has access to, the pain emotion has access to our memories. So it remembers what we've heard, it remembers what's happened to us, and takes that all together to decide whether to create the pain emotion to our conscious mind. So we have like a second brain thinking and deciding whether to use pain to control us or not, to try to control us. And sometimes this works against us. Just like for me, my neck was all stiff. I wasn't moving, so I was getting progressively worse because I wasn't moving the neck properly, and that was the root, path out of my pain. Now, yes, I had to stretch muscles. I had to work out muscle pains and things like that. But if I didn't do the exercise, the muscle pains would come straight back. So I'm not saying exercise is the be all end all of everything. It's the neuromuscular retraining exercises help the root cause, and then the muscle stuff, the relaxation stuff actually sticks.
Does our brain think we're stupid because it doesn't trust us?
We evolved for survival. If you think about chronic pain, like pain, like that doesn't help us. But we didn't evolve for comfort. We evolved for survival. Our system is designed to keep us alive. So pain, okay, you broke your arm, don't move it for a while until it gets better. Like that's what it's all about. Pain is when you're injured and how long do you need to protect it. And with our modern life, we get more information than our evolutionary brain sort of anticipates. So if you go to a medical doctor, or chiropractors are awful for this. Chiropractor takes an x-ray. Oh, look at your spine. Oh, degenerated discs. Ugh,
Mhm.
nasty. Oh, your bones, they're grinding. Oh, that's so awful, so terrible. Well, if you're told your bones are grinding, your pain's only going to get worse, well, then every time you take a step, you're like, oh, ow, ow, ow. And you're not using your muscles properly, which again aggravates actual physical problems. Um, and they actually find that if a doctor spends time explaining how pain works, that pain doesn't equal damage, that it decreases pain on average in chronic pain patients, decreases pain on average 30%. So if doctors actually
Mhm.
sit down, look, okay, yeah, like, yes, maybe you have some osteoarthritis, but osteoarthritis isn't actually painful. A lot of people think osteoarthritis bone on bone is painful. It's statistically, it's not painful, which is surprising. Because if you think of evolution, does it make sense for normal wear and tear that your body can't do anything about for that to be painful? No, there's no evolutionary advantage for making that painful. These are bony changes from wear and tear, and it turns out they're not painful. Now, if because of those wear and tear changes, you're using your muscles differently, it tends to be people with osteoarthritis tend to have more muscle pains and tendon pains as the source of the pain. But they think from the doctor, oh, it's the grinding. No, it's not the grinding. The grinding does most of the time doesn't do anything unless it's so bad the bones are breaking into pieces, grinding themselves into chunks.
So the first step is actually correctly identifying where the issue lays, what's the cause of it. How can we do it?
Yes. Yeah, you can't correctly treat something and resolve something unless you have the correct diagnosis. My specialty, neuromusculoskeletal medicine, is a diagnosis and management specialty. It is equivalent to, I like to explain it as House, Dr. House in the television show. He ran a department where, when other doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong, they would go to his department, and he specialized in diagnosis. And that's what my specialty is, because if you can't get the correct diagnosis, you can't manage it or resolve it. And
Mhm.
also, it's a diagnosis and management. You have to have the correct management for the problem in order to resolve it. Chiropractors out there saying, oh, we just need more chiropractic adjustments twice a week the rest of your life. No, that's not going to resolve it. Might feel good, might help for the pain.
Mhm.
That's not going to resolve it.
It seems your journey started because you wanted to fix yourself. I think maybe someone in the audience listens to this as well and is like, my shoulder is a bit tight. I don't want to spend 20 years investigating why it's tight. I would like to know right now what would be the step that I can take in order to fix it.
So I don't want to plug my book too much, although I did set, I think, the lowest price I could on Amazon. Um, but my book, I think, is a good place to start, because it says, it's broken down by regions: shoulder pain, headaches, elbow pain, ankle pain. And these are some sources of pain, and here are some of the solutions. Now, a lot of these sources, a lot of these solutions, you can't necessarily test yourself, but it puts you in a place where you can be like, where sometimes people are just so hopeless because they don't even know where to start, and they don't want to do what I do and spent 200,000 US. It was it was very expensive to get my education, and years of time. It makes sense. They don't want to do that, and that's why part I wrote the book. They don't have to do that necessarily. So anyway, so some of the possible causes, some of the possible solutions, and then you can start going to health professionals for help. And I also write about how to identify good professionals to bad ones. And sometimes might go to multiple health professionals to finally get the solution, possibly. And they might have to try multiple things before they get to the real solution. Um, let's take the shoulder, for example. So shoulder, we have, it could be as simple as pectoralis minor tightness. Too much office work, muscles here get really tight and angry. There's a really short muscle here. This bone, there's a bone right here, which is actually a protrusion from the shoulder blade out through the front. And the tiny muscle grabs it and pulls it down. So that can be just tight and achy. So sometimes just stretching it out, relieving it, combined with muscle exercises, activating the muscles of the back, turns off the muscles of the front. So more exercises pulling the shoulders back. I have some office workers that have told me they do those shoulder exercises every hour of office work, and their shoulder pain and actually their headaches go away. So for some people, it's something as simple as that. For others, if it's more the top, if it's pain, oh, ouch, something like that, that can be typically that's a tendinosis or a sort of coordination issue where the coordination is bad and it pulls the shoulder joint up a little bit too fast and it bumps into the tendon. And the tendon, from lack of use, can also be swollen and tender and sort of deficient, weak. If you don't use tendons over time, they become weakened and tender. So you have a tender tendon, and then from the poor coordination, the bone bumps into it, and ouch. That's why they get the sudden shoulder pain. It could be a tear. Some people get a little or have a little bit of a bone spur or a little bit of a bone spike at the top. We're talking about people in their 60s, perhaps. And those people sometimes do better. Actually, surgically, they go in and they just shave off that little bone spike and then everything's comfy again. In the UK, they sometimes go in and they put a cushion. They actually put like a little balloon. But if you get the muscle coordination right, you don't need that little balloon. You don't need to put a cushion there if your muscles are coordinating the motion of the shoulder right. Because some people think it's just one muscle that goes up, maybe one muscle that goes forward, one muscle goes back. It's coordination of, I forget what the number is. I think it's 14 muscles that cross the shoulder joint that can coordinate this motion. And so lifting the muscle here uses 3 muscles. Using here uses a different combination of 3 or 4 muscles. So it's really complex, and it's very easy for the brain to forget how to coordinate it. So again, coordination is often a root cause, but it's not necessarily the only cause. So I mentioned a tendinosis, which is weakening of the tendon. You can have tendon tears, which often heal on their own if they're small, if they're large. Maybe I've seen people with full ruptures go in surgical repair and fixes it right up. So I'm not anti-surgery. I'm fairly anti-medication, but if medication is curative, I'm pro-medication. I'm anti-medication if it's sort of masking a problem or making a problem worse. But same thing with surgery. I'm anti-surgery unless surgery fixes it, like for good.
But the truth is, all of us are different, and our diseases, although just as in your case, could have the same symptoms, had different causes.
Yes.
And on our own, it could take us years to find what's actually the cause.
It can, and I wish it was easier. No, so I became a specialist in ultrasound imaging, which I think is amazing for musculoskeletal problems. The problem is a lot of sonographers aren't trained. So you can be a medical sonographer and have received 0 training in imaging muscles and joints. It's a very infrequently found specialty, which is why I have an ultrasound course that I'm soon going to be offering to medical doctors in hopes that more medical doctors will start using it because they can. And it's great. So imagine in the future, you just visit your medical doctor. Oh, you have shoulder pain. Let me look, because looking rules out certain things. An MRI will rule out certain things. X-rays aren't really that great, but they can rule out certain things. Again, but don't get scared by some results. A lot of doctors are like, oh, it's arthritis. Arthritis isn't painful. Like this is, a lot of doctors have incorrect education themselves. But imaging does help. Some blood tests help, but there is a lot of trial and error to get to the bottom of things. There's some people I wasn't able to make any headway until I got the help of a counselor. And for this individual, it was, I think, their 6th or 7th counselor that they tried because they didn't mesh well with the previous ones. So it's a combination.
How does the ultrasound work?
So ultrasound waves what happens is every time there's an interface between two materials, some of the sound wave penetrates and some of the sound wave bounces back. And the unit uses the time of travel to figure out how deep that sound wave had traveled before it bounced back.
Mm.
So you can see the interfaces between different materials. Now, tendons in particular are made up of lots of fibers, so lots of strings. And so each of those strings acts as an interface. So a tendon will look like many, many lines all bundled together, many ropes in a bundle. So tendons really jump out. Ligaments look the same way. So it's really easy to tell if a tendon is healthy because you see all these lines. If it's torn, the lines will be broken. And if it's sickly, there's often extra fluid in it's swollen. So it'll actually be thicker, and you can actually measure the thickness. It'll be about 50% thicker, and it'll be darker because there's more space between, because it basically swells with fluid. So it becomes darker, noticeably darker. So looking for tendon problems, physical tendon problems, it's quite clear on ultrasound. Now, you can have tendon pain, as I mentioned, because of the coordination issue, and the tendon can still look relatively normal. So imaging is useful, but it doesn't necessarily cure pain. Because pain is here, has to do with coordination. Pain can be muscular, not in the tendon. Pain can travel. I've had many people with pain here. They point here, and the treatment for resolving their pain is way back here. So the brain misinterprets where the pain is coming from, where the problem is. And that can happen all over the body. I've had people knee pain, and I end up treating the hip, and their knee pain goes away. So I keep on coming up with more reasons why it's confusing, why it's difficult, but I don't want people to give up. So many people give up because they go to one physiotherapist, they go to one doctor, they go to one surgeon, and the surgeon said, "Oh, there's nothing I could do." The doctors I saw was like, "Oh yeah, like I was in my 20s at the time. Oh, you probably just wore out your knee and you have an elevator at work. You're fine. Good luck with that." Like if that was the only doctor I saw, well, frankly, I didn't solve my problems until I learned for myself. I saw 2, 3, 4 other doctors that didn't solve my knee problems and joint problems. Only I could. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And I don't have a good, like my book is trying to solve the problem. Some of my YouTube videos try to solve the problem. Podcasts, I'm trying to get the message out there to try to solve the problem for as many people as possible. But it's every person's journey is going to be unique to solve their problems. And I do believe that everyone can get better to a certain extent. There are, if you have an amputated limb, well, it's not going to grow back. Like there's limitations. And for some people, I was thinking, for example, kidney disease, end stage kidney disease. The filter is broken in the kidneys, and the filter can't be like the filter has torn, and your kidneys sort of filter out your blood. And if the filter is torn, the body really doesn't have a mechanism to rebuild it the same way it was originally. So with diet and things, those people can keep their problems from degrading worse. But for an issue like that, it's sort of unreversible. They can't return to a sort of pristine original state. But I do believe in general people can get better, and even those kidney diseases. I was listening to a researcher. He's experimenting with different diets, and he's found diets that prevent it from getting worse. And for many years, doctors were saying it always gets worse. He's like, no, it doesn't always get worse. We can prevent it from getting worse. And I think that optimism is missing from healthcare, and because it takes a lot of work. My
Do
my
you
sorry.
do you think attitude matters in the healing process?
Yes, both on practitioners who are helping patients and the patient themselves. Um, it definitely positive psychology. You can talk about the placebo effect. Oh, I'm going to take this pill, and this pill is going to make me better. A lot of people do get better. Their pain goes down. Their function improves. In fact, there's something also called there's the passive placebo effect and the active placebo effect, because they found that a lot of people who get the actual drug get side effects, so they feel sick. So some people have done experiments. Well, let's give people a placebo that makes them feel sick. And they find that a placebo that makes them feel sick actually has a stronger placebo effect. They're like, oh, wow, this drug, this drug is crazy. Oh, I feel so sick. I feel lightheaded. Oh, this must be one heck of a powerful drug. I definitely didn't get the placebo. I must have gotten the real drug because, oh my God, my stomach is killing me. And then, so even stronger placebo effect. So, so attitude, I think I can heal. I think I can get better,
Mm,
makes a big difference into your body's responses. Oh, there's so many studies that if you think positively, it decreases like your blood test for inflammatory markers. It'll actually go down. It'll change
mm.
your hormone profile, your neurotransmitter profile. It'll change everything. SSRIs, antidepressant drugs, SSRIs don't work better than placebos. And placebos work
Amazing.
very well, though, because if you think you're capable of being happy again, because some people who are depressed, I'm going to be depressed forever. I can't do anything on my own. I need this drug. But if they think, okay, I'm capable of changing this around, then often they are capable of changing around, and their brain chemistry changes because as you think, thinking changes your brain chemistry. So
So,
much of attitude with that. So I am going to add one more thing to for the practitioner. A lot of practitioners can't practice the way they want, even if they want to be like me and explain everything and go in detail. Some can do it, but they often have to open their own practice. Because who I worked for before was like, what are you doing? Why isn't this person coming back? She was coming every week for the past 10 years. Like, well, why is she not coming? Oh, I cured her neck pain. She has no more neck pain. What? That's no good. Don't do that.
yeah.
And I'd also had stayed overtime with a lot of my patients against my boss's wishes. He wanted me to spend 15 minutes per patient, and if I wasn't booked back to back, I'd sometimes spend an hour per patient trying to figure things out. And so I was able to resolve issues, and as a consequence, was earning less money. Sorry,
Mm.
you can get to your question or comment.
So you obviously invested tons of money, energy into the process. What's the most valuable thing that you think can and will impact people's lives?
Um, what's the most impactful thing? Um, if you need help, so as a message, if you need help, get help. You're not on your own. Your family will help you. Counselors will help you. Health and wellness counselors will help you. Spiritual guides will help you get into a better mindset. You don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to be hopeless. So don't give up hope. Like if I have one message, it's don't give up hope. Pain is not a life sentence, and a lot of people have given up hope. And if you've given up hope, you've determined that pain is your future. You're sort of self-determining that, yes, I am going to be in pain the rest of my life if you've given up. And it's not written in stone. You can change your future, but you have to have that faith. For myself, I had given up because a lot of I had sort of given up. Obviously, was investing the money because I had some hope, but I didn't think I'd cure all of my problems. So don't give up hope. There's no one solution for everyone, so I can't comment on that. But don't give up hope, and make sure your doctors are experimenting and trying new things, and don't get stuck with someone who's like, well, this didn't work, so let's just keep on doing more of it. Don't put up with that. Don't put up with that. Stop. I was going to swear there, but
Have an open mind and
yeah.
this attitude of never giving up and having faith in yourself or even your doctor or the process.
And actually, honestly, it doesn't even have to be in just yourself. Sometimes I ask, do you believe in God? Are you spiritual? And sometimes I ask a chronic pain patient about God, and they're like, yeah, I believe in God. They're like, well, have you been to church? No. Have you asked God to help you? No. You can ask for help. You can ask for guidance. You can ask the universe to help you. You obviously, God works through you and others. God isn't going to snap his fingers and make everything better, but it can't hurt to ask. And same thing with spirituality. Have you tried yoga? Have you tried not just yoga, but I yoga the exercise, but I mean, have you tried going the spiritual route? Have you tried speaking to a counselor? Have you tried, because mind body wellness goes together, mind body health goes together. As I mentioned, musculoskeletal pain, it's often coordination issue, it's a control issue. Pain, the brain, when the brain is scared, it ramps up pain 30%, sometimes more. Sometimes there's pain, but no mechanical connection to the pain. Pain does not equal damage. It's just the brain. The brain is you.
The
So you sometimes
emotional
have to treat
patterns,
yourself. Sorry.
the emotional patterns or negative beliefs, are they manifested in the body to bring it to your awareness?
Yes. I'm just going to say yes, exactly. There's different ways of looking at it, and people might be a little bit different. We could get into specifics of the biology. For some people, it's really all very cerebral. Their pain experience, their anxiety, it's very cerebral. For others, it's more spinal cord. We have neurons in our spinal cord, and those neurons can be the ones that are very sensitive. And so they're sending a lot more signal to the brain. So there's different ways people are sensitized. But the treatment is treating the brain and the body. A lot of the treatments, the researched evidence-based treatments for this stuff, is getting in tune with your body. It's a lot of brushing the skin, feeling that, looking at it, brush your skin. It's about slow movements, trying to feel and control every limb, every tiny motion. It's trying to just connect that brain body connection and make it stronger, to build the brain confidence and to resolve issues.
If people like what they are hearing, where could they find more of you?
So they can look on Amazon for Pain is Not a Life Sentence for the book. They can also look on YouTube for my name, Brandon Ramakko, Brandon Ramakko. They can also go to my website for resources. My website is www.drramakko.com.
All those resources are under this video, so you can find them very easily. Thank you for being Brandon. I've learned a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I hope all goes well with your future launches and current launches, and most importantly, with your health.
Thank you. Best to you as well, and the audience.